Hello YouTube, today we're out with the Vivo X100 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, and we're going to be comparing the telephoto cameras. Both of them have got brand new telephoto lenses for this year, and yeah, which one's better? Let's go find out. Right, so we're in Bradgate Park, which is a local park to me that has a lot of deer living in it. And hopefully we can use these new 5x telephoto cameras to get a good look at some of them. Okay, we've spotted our first deer. They're very, very far away. So I jump into the 5x on the Samsung and the 4.3x on the Vivo. You can just about get a look at them. We can go to 20x on the Samsung, or a maximum of 10x on the Vivo. But our framing is quite different on each. 20x looks pretty grainy and horrible. 10x doesn't look as bad, but yeah, I think we need some to come closer to get a proper comparison. So as you can see, I'm not allowed over there. I've got to say as well, on the selfie cameras, the Samsung does have autofocus, so if I get real close, it should keep me in focus, or far away, whereas it's a fixed focus on the Vivo. Maybe you can see the difference. These guys are a little bit closer. Switching to the 5x on the Samsung, 4.3x on the Vivo. Now the 10x. Again, the Samsung looks sharper on the phone screen, but is it just a nicer screen? You tell me. The Vivo has got the larger sensor, so we should get some better background blur. Is it enough to make a difference? It's so chilly that my fingers aren't working very well on the touchscreen. Which means the image stabilization has really got its work cut out for it today. Alright, back in the car, slowly defrosting. That was pretty cold. I don't know which phone to look at. But yeah, got some good stuff there. I was hoping for the big horny boys, you know, but we got some Bambis and that'll have to do for today. So yeah, next we're gonna do some nighttime stuff. So I'll see you when it gets dark. Oh, would you look at that? It got dark. We're out on the beautiful streets of Leicester City Centre. We're probably not going to see any deer, but we might see a rat or a fox. So yeah, let's see how these cameras look in low light. Alright, we're starting on the widest lens, 0.6x ultra wide, and walking along. Now this is the 1x on both. Now this is the 2x on the Vivo and the 3x on the Samsung. .3x on the Vivo, 5x on the Samsung. From looking at my screen, the Vivo looks a lot brighter. Not necessarily better. This is 10x on the Samsung. 10x on the Vivo. I think 10x is going to look pretty bad in the dark. Right, back to the main sensors. Switch to the 5x on the Samsung, 4.3x on the Vivo. The Vivo's definitely a lot brighter. It looks a little more stable as well. Right, I'm walking along with both of the 1x cameras now. If I switch to the 5x, which no normal person would do when it's this dark, because it's not going to look great, it just gives us a good idea of the stabilization of each of them. And again, it looks like Vivo's doing better from what I can see on the phone screen. We never really know until we get back on the computer. I just compared the 2x, which is the crop of the Vivo's main sensor, to the 3x physical lens of the Samsung. Again, it looks brighter. Some odd lens flares that are a bit distracting, although the Samsung does have them slightly as well, but it definitely looks a lot brighter on the Vivo. Of course, at night you need as much light as possible, so you're probably realistically going to want to stick to the main sensors. Okay, so one final test where it's so dark that you can barely see anything. Which camera's doing better on the selfies? From the phone screen it looks like the Vivo's brighter, as seems to be the case all the time. But yeah, we'll see when we see it on a big screen. Switching over to the main sensor on both. That looks like a night and day difference to me. What about the stabilization if I walk a bit? And let's try the 5x and the 4.3x. I've gone the wrong way. There we go. Yeah, that's night and day to me. I mean, neither looks great, but the Vivo looks a lot better. Okay, so after looking at the footage side by side, I think the two cameras in daylight are quite comparable. The stabilization is a bit of a toss-up between the two phones. Sometimes the Samsung's better, sometimes the Vivo's better, but overall, they're probably about on par. Interestingly, when I was looking at the phone screens while I was filming, the Samsung looked sharper, but in the actual final videos, the Vivo is much sharper. So clearly they're doing a lot of post-processing and adding some sharpness after the fact. It's actually to the point where the Vivo should have a shallower depth of field on the 5x camera, or 4.3x, because it's got a larger sensor and a wider aperture. But it doesn't look like that, because it's sharpening the background blur so much that it looks like it's in focus again. Whether you're into that or not depends on your tastes. It does look good sometimes, but I think it's a little over sharpened for my personal preference, especially at 10x. But when it gets to nighttime, the Vivo absolutely smashes it. It's much brighter. The stabilization is much better. Sometimes it's a little less sharp than the Samsung, but you can actually see things, so I'd say it's better in that regard. For the audio, I think the Samsung S24 Ultra is better, just because it's better at suppressing the wind noise. But when it's not windy, both sound pretty good. But then the Samsung has advantages of its own, like it can do 4K slow motion, whereas the Vivo can only do slow motion at 1080p. Oh, and selfie videos are in 4K and have autofocus. Supposedly the Vivo will be getting a 4K update at some point soon, but it's never going to have autofocus, so the Samsung's probably always going to win in that department. So which one do you think did better? Let me know down in the comments. And if you like this kind of thing, hit subscribe because I've got more phones on the way. I'll see you in the next one. Toodles.